But anyway, don't
Yeah,
get me started.
I agree. Well, and then to talk about obesity too. Like, look how many people die from obesity just in the U.S. 300,000 people a year, right? And we're still feeding
Yeah.
them Doritos and like chips and shit like that. So
Right. The media doesn't cover any of that stuff. It's not like I say. They want to blame Trump for everything. And
yeah,
thank God Trump is at the helm.
I actually
Right?
agree with
Thank
you.
God. I
Yeah,
mean, if fucking Bernie was there right now, can you imagine the absolute shit show we'd be dealing with right now? I
yeah,
mean, I mean, whatever, right? So,
crazy, crazy, crazy.
so I'm getting a little bit of a delay, but I think we're making it work.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get started here. Did you download the or click the link for the Zencaster thing? It's best because then it saves the audio on your side there.
Oh, here, let me do it. Hang on a second.
Because it'll save because that way we don't have to worry about the connection. It'll just save on yours. I don't know how it does it, but then I can download it on my side and then join the two audio files. So it works out pretty
Okay,
slick.
here, I'm doing it right now. Okay,
And then
got it. I think that's good. Do you see it?
let's see. Yep, I see there. I'm just gonna mute my audio here. Otherwise, it'll make a really annoying sound.
Okay.
Oh, want to do yours as well? Mute yours on Hangouts.
Is it mine or yours?
That's yours. I muted mine
What do I need
already.
to do? What do I turn off?
the mute button on Hangouts.
The mute button.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna have one of my buddies join, but I think he got pulled into a meeting right now, so that's unfortunate. But oops. Yeah, he's roped in.
I wish I could go outside on my deck and do this recording, but my internet around here is so flaky.
Seriously?
If I go out there, I think I'll lose my signal.
You gotta get one of those Wi-Fi extender things.
Yeah, here, just a second. Let me try it. I don't know if it's. Bear with me 1 second here.
No worries.
We'll see if it doesn't work. I'll come back in.
Okay.
What's the worst thing can happen?
Oops. Why is this not working here?
Yeah, this is pretty sweet here.
Oh man, that is so nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
This works.
That's the office, man. That is so cool.
Yeah, not a bad office.
I am definitely jealous. Definitely jealous. Oops.
All right. Let's see.
Just one more housekeeping thing quickly, and then we should be good to go.
The light might be better.
Why is this not working?
How's that, man? Does that work?
Yeah, that's perfect. Cool, man.
I don't know if the internet's any better or worse right here, but what the hell? Let's go.
I think it looks fine, and it looks beautiful there. What's the temperature in Miami? Is it like 70s?
Right now, today is probably it's going to be low 80s.
Low 80s.
It's beautiful. I don't want to rub it in, but and we've had a spell of weather here that is for the last like 2 or 3 weeks. It's been 80 and sunny every day, no rain.
Dang.
It's amazing.
I'm
really
jealous,
is.
man. I am jealous. Cool.
Now, hey,
Well,
I forgot my coffee side or my juice. Hang on a second. I'm gonna go grab it real quick.
okay, no worries. What is this? Oh, that's okay. You. Cool.
I brought this little stool out too. I'm going to see if by propping this up, if that helps. Hang on. See if that's a bit better. I don't know if it is or not, but what the hell.
Cool, cool. What? Oh, that's cute. What's her name?
Rose.
Rosie?
5 pounds of thunder. 5 pounds of thunder right there.
5 pounds of thunder. One of my buddies, he is a.
Give me a Rose.
I was chatting with him yesterday. He's got a big old.
She's a chihuahua.
She's a what?
Yeah, here, hang on. I'll show you.
Oh, lean mean machine.
Yeah, that's nothing but 5 pounds of fury right there.
One of my buddies, he's got a 40-pound corgi, and that's his weight for his at-home workouts.
Yeah.
Kind of funny, but cool, man. Well, I just want to say,
Are you still in school? Are you out of school? What are you doing?
so I wanted to chat about you, but so my journey is actually kind of similar to yours, at least from what I found on your podcast. So,
Okay.
I saw that you were a professional racquetball player. I mean, I was never a professional athlete, but I ran Division I track in college, but left after a year.
Nice.
Yeah, but I left after a year, and then I went and I worked.
Did you?
What?
Where'd you go?
University of Kentucky. So I was a Wildcat, which was actually which is super fun. Actually, I caught up with some of my buddies yesterday. One of my buddies, he was the indoor record holder for Great Britain, and then another one of my buddies was ranked number 1 in the world for 110 hurdles. So pretty crazy to see them taking off and just absolutely killing it. So so I went there for a year, and then I left and worked at a marketing agency, and I had unlimited paid time off, which was one of the benefits. So I got to work on really cool side projects, and one of the ones that came about was I was helping this guy in Poland work with a sportswear brand. I was helping this guy in Poland enter the U.S. market. He has a large sportswear brand based there called 4F, and this guy started this company with nothing when he was 22 and grew it into this really big, couple $100 million a year company. And
that's great. I love it.
Yeah, and so I met him actually when I went with my dad to the Olympics in Pyeongchang. He works with the Biathlon Union or International Biathlon Union, and so like our family shared a hotel room, got paid for our tickets and air miles, and it was a really cool trip. And that's actually I met him there. And when I met him, he was like, "We've been here for 4 years, and we do nothing here in the U.S. I don't know anybody." And so I was like, "Dude, let me take your card. Like maybe I know someone." And sure enough, a couple weeks later, I ended up meeting Tiger Shah, who runs USA Ski and Snowboarding, and he was like, Columbia just pulled out as our main sponsor, and so I helped facilitate a deal there, and then it didn't go through, but I went to go work in Poland last winter, and then while in Poland is where I got the idea for what I'm working on now, which is a company called Imbue that I started, and we're building a universal gym membership, so essentially an alternative to ClassPass. So, yeah. So that's my journey in like a couple minutes, but
yeah. But how was it? So what you're doing right now? How are you making money?
So we have a network of gyms, and the gyms pay, or the user pays us a membership, and they get unlimited access in any facility we have in our network.
So is it kind of like ClassPass?
Yeah,
like ClassPass kind of.
Yeah, it's that, but it's an unlimited version, right? So you can go unlimited times in any facility, and it's more attractive. It's a more attractive financial model for the gyms because ClassPass pays very, very poorly. And we also try to do events in the community. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Minnesota Vixen, but we were planning an event. We planned an event with them to raise funds for a local charity by hosting workshops at the different gyms. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's super early right now though. But
so on a $40 membership, how much of that would the club owner get?
So we take 10% off the top, and then it's allocated based on usage. Yeah, so it's allocated based on usage. So if they went to your gym 5 times, and they went to another gym that costs $100 5 times, you both get half your membership, and then a piece of the leftover because we'd be more expensive. So it's allocated based on the time they spend at your facility.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah, man. So, but getting to you, I'm curious. So, as I was doing some research and listening to some of your podcasts, your journey kind of started out when you started working for your dad at your. He had like a grocery store or something, right, or a convenience store. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, my father had a grocery store in the small town that I grew up in, and so he gave me at 8 years old. He gave me an opportunity to run this little popcorn stand out in front of his store. So that was my first introduction to work, to an actual job. And it was, I didn't know at the time that some of the life lessons that I would learn at 8 years old would still carry through today. That it was just great lessons and great for a young kid to experience.
What were some of those lessons? Like, what did you?
Well, I mean, the first one that I learned straight away was. God, I remember one morning or one afternoon, my dad walks past me. He walks about 40 feet past me, and he stops, and he pivots, turns, starts heading right back for me. He stops right in front of me. He says, "Hey, son, how are sales?" And I said, "Well, they're kind of slow." And I was going to give him this big explanation as to why business was slow. And he said, "Peter, they're slow because you're not getting out from behind the desk. You got to get out from behind that desk and go ask people if they'd like some of your popcorn." So it was a great lesson. So for me, for that moment, I literally got out from behind that counter and I'd walk up to people, complete strangers, pull on their sleeve and say, "Hey, would you like some popcorn?" Well, hell, these people, it's hard to say no to a little 8-year-old boy. And what I learned, that lesson there was, hey, look, if you want something, you got to go get it. So it was a great life lesson for me. And that's true in life today, that, you know what? Dream. If you're going to dream big, and then go get it. Don't wait for something to fall in your lap. It just doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I actually really like that a lot because I feel like in today's like company building space, everybody feels like you got to go raise money. Like you got to go raise money to go build this thing. Like you can start, and like money is like a shortcut, right? Like it would make it easier for you to go reach those people. But you, for example, you bootstrapped Snap Fitness, so it's very possible, and in some ways better.
Yeah, and I had the good fortune for me is I had an opportunity when I was in my early 20s to try to turn around a failing gym, and my compensation was only $1,600 a year, but they said, "Look, Peter, if you can turn this thing around, we'll let you buy us out with the profits." Because the owners at the time, they were tired of it. This thing was losing money every year, a couple $100,000. They were over it. Yeah. So they said, "Look, if you can turn this thing around, we'll let you buy us out with the profits." Well, that's all I needed. At the time, I was living in Orlando, Florida, playing racquetball. And I knew that racquetball for me was just a conduit for whatever my next thing was. And I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. But it was a chance for me to travel around the country playing something that I love to do. But I knew you couldn't make a living at it. You couldn't make any real money. So I needed to figure out what my next thing was going to be. And this opportunity just kind of came about through racquetball. And I did that for 20 years. I ran up there. I ran that club. I turned it around. And I was fearless. Once I bought the owners out, I went and got a loan and leveraged that first club, build another club. And I did that 7 times. Damn. And did it 7 times. I did it 20 years. And it wasn't until I sold that. I sold it when I was in my late 30s. And then I started Snap Fitness about 8 months later, a year later. Damn. And when I started Snap, I didn't get any loans. I did it with my own money. Mm-hmm. And I started Snap Fitness with about $300,000 cash. And, I did. I knew that I wanted to make sure that my product was relevant and something that the consumer would gravitate to, and things worked out. From that 20 years experience in the industry, I knew that I had to bring something to the market that was a little bit different, mm-hmm. what might feel a little bit unconventional, but yet high value driven. Mm-hmm. So my timing was impeccable. I mean, honestly, the people loved it, and I subsequently grew it into one of the largest wellness brands in the world. That is absolutely bananas.
What were some of the lessons that you learned, like while building like the other brand? Because I'm sure that translated into build like as soon as you had the cash, you knew how to build a big fitness brand. It was just you know what I mean? Like, what were some of those lessons you learned building that?
Well, it was a lot of common sense. I mean, common sense goes a long way in business. And for me, what prompted me to start Snap Fitness was one of the guys that I had worked with for about 12, 13 years. He didn't like who I had sold the business to. It was a different culture than it was when I was running the company.
So someone in the company?
And he just said, "Would you?" Well, yeah, this was in Minnesota.
Okay.
And, yeah, in Minnesota, and so he just said, "Look, would you consider building a club for me? I know that you're not interested in getting back into the trenches like you were before, but would you consider it?" And I said no to him several times before I finally started thinking, what if I pull out the swimming pools and the aerobic classes and the racquetball courts? Before I knew it, I had this club that was, literally 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, and instead of having 50 employees, I had 2. So the unit level economics worked, and I tested it in a market in Minnesota, and within 90 days, I sold enough memberships in 90 days to cash flow for the year. And it was at that point that I was mildly surprised. And a few months later, I said, you know what, I'm going to build you another one. I built another one in a mid-sized market, and same performance, because the unit level economics of each location fell into place. My overhead in the urban markets, the big metropolitan cities, overhead is more, but I can charge more, so the unit level economics fall in place. In a mid-sized market, everything seems to ratchet down accordingly. And the last club that I built was in a town of 3,500 people. That was the third club. I built it in a little town, Cokato, Minnesota.
Oh, no, Cokato.
3,500 people. Yeah, little one or two stop town, for real.
Yeah.
And when I built it there, I thought, there's no way it's going to work here. Same performance. Sold enough memberships in 90 days to cash flow for the year. Wow. And it was at that point that I said, I've got something that's scalable. So once again, common sense. I proved to myself, I validated the product. It worked in an urban market, a mid-size, and a small market. I knew that what I had, I could repeat. It was scalable. So then I just went down the process of setting up systems and processes to be able to execute at a high level. I didn't know how high. I didn't know how many I would build at the time. I had no idea. But I know this. Think small, be small. So I built it in a way that if it took off, I could just plug in human resources and be able to scale up accordingly. And that's what I did. After I started the company, in the 5th year of opening, I opened 377 in 1 year.
Oh my!
5 years after I started the idea.
That is insane.
It was a great it was great vision, but more importantly, it was unbelievable execution on a great vision.
So what I'm really curious about is how you got those first 90, in those first 90 days, we were able to get those memberships. Like, what was that like? Because I'm sure that's something that you probably passed on to your different franchisees. Was it like getting to know the members, or what was that like?
Well, you know what? I think in any gym today, having a connection with your members matters. All right, today. It's not about faster treadmills or heavier weights. It's about the community that you can create within your 4 walls.
Yeah.
What resonated with the people back when I started Snap Fitness 15 years ago is I said, look, no contract, and I was one of the first to say no contract. And my battle cry was, look, I'm going to give you an affordable price. I'm going to deliver value. So lots of cardio, lots of strength, lots of selectorized equipment, no contract. Meaning, look, if I don't earn your business, earn your trust every month, you just quit. It's that simple. So I was not a fan of trying to shackle people into these long-term contracts. I said, look, I got to get up every day and I've got to earn your business. And that resonated with people. People kept telling me, hey, Peter. And there was, in a lot of the interviews that I did when I was just blowing this company up, most of the interviewers were saying, Peter, you know what we love about this product is it's so consumer facing. It's, you put your money where your mouth is. That if you don't deliver on your promise, I can quit with no strings attached. It's that simple.
Interesting. So they like that. They like that ability. They like to have you accountable like that, right? Versus being forced into some sort of contract.
And you know what? If you just put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, if you do that every time, if you're in a consumer-facing business, you have to put yourself in the eyes of the consumer to make sure that you're always relevant, okay? When I do consulting today, and I'm listening to people talk about their business, they feel stuck or they're not getting traction or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I talk about is the relevance of their product as compared to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because relevance is not what you or I think, it's what the customer thinks. And the customer is going to validate your product based on loyalty.
Yeah.
If you suck at what you do, they're going to leave because think about health clubs. There's one on every corner.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. It's, and now there's all these boutique little studios from former trainers who want to own their own gym. It's a very, very competitive space we're in.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And we've seen that, especially in the boutique space, which is where we're kind of like, we're doing with Imbue right now. Is there's hundreds of them just in the Twin Cities, right? In such a small market.
It's the fastest growing segment. It's the fastest growing segment within the wellness space. And it's been the fastest growing segment for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why, because there's no barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I can rent a space. Most of the gyms that are doing well today are group fitness, functional training type vibe, like a Barry's Boot Camp or an Orange Theory. So you don't need some huge space, and they just go in there. And you know what? If you've got a few pieces of equipment and some functional training area, you can do it. You can get it done, and then back it up with some nutrition consulting. So you can. I always say it all the time. Abs are made in the kitchen. Yeah, I get people all the time say, Peter, how do you stay so lean and this and that? And they think, fuck, dude, you must train 5 hours a day. And I go, no, like 45, 50 minutes a day, because I've been doing it since I've been 13.
Yeah. I've
never stopped. But it's all accountability. I weigh myself every day. Every day I weigh myself. And for me, my fighter weight is between 178 and 182. That's where I like to be. Mm-hmm. And if I get above 182, I push the plate away. I start dialing in my nutrition a bit more. Mm-hmm. But if I get below 178, I eat a little bit more. I take in a little bit more calories. And people say, God, Peter, you're neurotic. I said, God, it's got nothing to do with being neurotic. It's got to do with being accountable.
100%. 100%. Most people aren't, right? So... and I'm sure that's why, I feel like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you doing that here is like you do the same thing in business, and most people don't do that. So maybe that's why they think it is. But
it's, you're exactly right. You know what? And I just, when I start, one of the first companies I took over, I went into these people and I said, look, we are not going to be average anymore. The leadership, I changed the leadership within the company, and we're not going to be fucking average anymore. So that's where it's going to start, right here, right now. So when you roll out of bed in the morning, if you just think you're going to skate through the day, it's not going to work out. So people loved it. People loved that kind of cowboy, cavalier, but I would lead the charge. I would not dictate, hey, you do this, you do that. And even with Snap Fitness, if it snowed the night before and I got to work and there was snow on the sidewalk, I'd shovel it, right? I wouldn't have a jacket on because I grabbed the shovel. By the time I hassle to go back into my office, get my jacket, I just grab the shovel and I go to town and I knock it out in 10 minutes. No big deal, right? And many of my employees would come in or walk by and say, hey, Peter, here, let me get that. Because the thought of the founder, CEO shoveling the walk, it just, some people materially, they think that's not necessary, but it's totally necessary. Mm-hmm. Because it tells your staff, hey, look, I'm above nothing. I'm not going to ask you to do something that I can't do myself. And by the time I walk around and try to find someone to do this, I could have had it done, right? So It's a great message that people know that you're going to hop in the trenches with them. That's how you get people to jump on a hand grenade when it comes in the room. That's how you get customer loyal, or how you get employee loyalty, that you go to bat for them every day.
Well, and I think that's beautiful. That creates such a great culture within the company.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
So
I'm going to go on. It's hotter than Dutch love out here right now.
No worries.
Yeah.
So my friend Igor, the guy who started that sportswear brand, that was something that he was very big on too. Like, for example, when we were going to one of the trade shows, he carried the samples into the building. Like, he's a guy who runs this 2,500 person company, and he was willing to do that just because he's. Yeah, but it showed that he was willing to do whatever. Oh my, yeah, I see that you're sweating. It's pretty dang hot.
Yeah, you just gotta be. Some people, they talk a good game, but they don't show up. And I talk about that a lot today in my life. I talk about how do you want to show up in your life, and which is why I'm today. when you think about my business that I've been, if you'd asked me today, hey, Peter, did you think 15 years ago you were going to have 6,000 locations in 28 countries? Did you think you were going to do that? The fair response is, no, I didn't. I honestly, I didn't think I'd have 6,000. I didn't. Fuck. I thought I was capable of it, but I wasn't. I knew that I could. I knew that I was capable of building a brand that would be one of the largest wellness brands in the world, and I set it up to be that. But I'd be completely arrogant to say, yeah, no, I knew it all along. That's just not the case. So,
how did you know that you were going to build one? How did you know you're going to build one of the biggest wellness brands? Like, did you just have that feeling, or just from testing that product? Like you said, you knew. You didn't know all along, right? But you said you were going to build one of the biggest. You knew that you were going to build one of the biggest wellness brands.
Well, I knew that my product was relevant because of the growth, how quickly I was growing, and so that mattered. The franchisees were. I was selling franchises, and the members were coming in. That's half the battle. That's the validation that it's not just that I was able to sell franchises, but that people, the general public, were willing to come in and buy a membership. So that's the validation. And so today, and believe me, in 15 years, we've had to reinvent ourselves 2 or 3 times.
Seriously.
And for real, some of our franchisees have not evolved, and there's a high probability that they will close because the consumer is not going to settle for a product that was relevant 10 years ago, but it's not relevant today.
So what were some of those evolutions? Like you guys had to evolve twice. What was that like? Like, I'm actually really curious. Like, because you had to reinvent yourself as a company. That's not like an easy thing to do, right? You said it so casually, but
no, it's costly and it's expensive. When we started the company, it used to be we were 24-hour access. You belong to one, you belong to them all, no contract, and typically $35 a month. That was my go-to-market strategy, okay? Yeah. And my point of difference was no contract. Now, the consumer loved that because they said, look, no contract. And it wasn't so much that they loved that, but they loved the manner of how I introduced it by saying, hey, look, it was all in the message. I said, look, if I don't deliver on my promise every day, you should be able to quit. If I suck at what I do, I should be able to quit, which is people are like, yeah, that's exactly right. You know what I mean? How many times have you belonged to a health club and you try to quit and you got to show them proof of moving and all this nonsense, absolute nonsense. It's a health club membership, for crying out loud. It's not a house payment or a car payment. It's a gym membership, and you're going to try to affect my credit because I want to quit your gym because it's filthy and you suck at what you do. It's just not fair, right? Yeah, it's not right. It's not fair. So that's what I went to market with, and the people loved it. But within 7 or 8 years, we said, look, we've got to integrate. The first integration we had to do, we had to incorporate heart rate-based training, meaning every time a member joins, we got to give them some sort of a heart rate monitor, because if I can't measure your effort, I can't get you to the promised land. Let's just be real about it. Pedometers and accelerometers, those are all bullshit. Literally, I've got to measure your heart rate, because if I know how hard you're willing to work, because your heart will not lie, you can't fake it. So onboarding members, the onboarding process had to change. It had to become more technical, more sophisticated. That was great. People loved it. It resonated. And we knew that we were innovators, so we screamed it from the mountaintops. We didn't want to be the best kept secret. We screamed it from the mountaintops, and we said, look, we're going to onboard you with a heart rate monitor, and we're going to guarantee results, or we'll give you your money back.
Wow.
Right? Which I'm a big fan of today. I'm getting ready to launch a CBD oil company.
Seriously?
And my CBD oil company is going to be better than anything else that's out there. And I'm telling people, hey, look, my market cry is going to be, look, if you don't have a noticeable difference, I'll give you your money back. No questions asked. I'll give you your money back. Because it's not, I'm at a place in my life where I say, look, you know what, I put my money where my mouth is, and it works, right? Yeah. For me to endorse something, I've had to try it myself and feel the results, because I'm done making money. I pulled over $100 million out of my company. I'm done chasing the dollar. I can check that box. So now it's about, continuing to feed my hunger to be relevant in whatever it is I'm doing. My philanthropy, helping the underdog, doing what I'm doing right now with you. I do this about 5 times a week.
Wow.
I talk to young entrepreneurs. I do podcasts, and I do these things. I do the podcast, like social media. Shit, 6 months ago, I had like 1,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, maybe 3,000. Okay, but when I put my hat in the ring, I started screaming from the mountaintops. I said, "Hey, look, there's so much fake bullshit out there. So let's just set the record straight." So these guys that are sitting there in front of jets they don't own and Ferraris and fanning $100 bills. I said, "Look, it's all bullshit. Let me tell you." So that jet, that's mine. The Ferrari's mine. And here's the other story: it's hard fucking work. Mm-hmm. So don't think that you're going to go into business and it's going to be, you're going to be working 3-4 hours a day and you're just going to be spending your time golfing and fishing throughout the summer. No, man. It's sacrifice. It's commitment. It's discipline. It's all those things. And it's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, as you know. Mm-hmm. When you have a business, man, you never get away from it.
Yeah.
Right? So now the struggle needs to be, and that's what I help people with. I said, look, you got to have balance in your life. So let's talk about how do we manage that balance? That work balance, your family balance, your faith balance, all of it. How do we get it all in check? Otherwise, you're going to be like me. You're going to spend 30 years with your head down driving, and you're going to be unbelievably successful, God willing.
Yeah.
But you're going to wake up and you're going to look back and you're going to go, wow, I don't know that that was worth it. And you don't get a do-over, right?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting take. So, So you're not sure that what you did was worth it, like going the way that you did it was worth it.
Well, here's the reality. Every one of us, doesn't matter who you are, how much you have in the bank, we all get 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You don't get any more, and you don't get any less. So you need to choose them wisely. Choose how you spend it very wisely. All right.
Yeah.
So for me, I get asked all the time, "Hey Peter, what would you have done differently?" And my response doesn't change. I tell them, "I wish I would have danced more." Seriously? And what I mean by that is figuratively speaking, I wish I would have enjoyed the ride a little bit more. Now, I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll give you an example. I would fly to Australia where I have clubs. I'd fly to Australia. I would fly business class. So because for me, trying to get some rest on the flight, because I know when I hit the ground, I'm on, right? So I'd fly business, I would land, and I would literally work 16, 17-hour days for 3 days and hop on a plane and fly back. It takes a day to get there and takes a day to get back, right? Mm-hmm. Most people would have extended that trip. They'd say, look, I'm in Australia, I'm going to chill for a few days, I'm going to hang out for a while. No, I mean, for 15 years, I would fly in, do my work, and fly back. Mm-hmm. So those things, even, on weekends, if I had work to do, I got it done because I knew that there was thousands of franchisees out there that were depending on me to do my job. And you're either going to own that responsibility or you're not.
Yeah, interesting. And so, what were some of the things that you did to help balance it out? Like, or looking back, would you have done differently to balance it out?
Well,
I guess those are two examples there.
I probably, I would have done a little bit more delegation of some things,
like shoveling the snow. Just kidding.
Yeah, that. But I'd knock that out in 10 minutes. But I would have delegated a little bit more. But probably, as I sit here and I think about it now, I don't know that I could have, because it's the decisions, the material decisions. When you're growing at the pace that I was growing, that all the decisions you make are material. Okay, and you don't want to put that. You don't want to put it. Put it like this, there are some athletes that, pitchers, Stoltz as an example. He pitched for the Braves. I golfed with him one time and I said, man, when it's the bottom of the ninth you've got a 1-run lead, and the opponent has bases loaded, and is that nerve wracking? How does that feel for you? And he says, "There's no place I'd rather be. There's no one more qualified than me. I want that ball." Mm-hmm. So, just like Tom Brady, you know what? When there's a minute left on the clock and they're down by 4, he knows what he needs to do, and there's no one that he trusts more with that ball than himself, right? So. Mm-hmm. There are times when you're making decisions for hundreds of families, which is all of your employees, for hundreds, thousands of franchisees. They're banking on you to make the right call. So those are decisions that you don't want to put in the hands of anyone else.
What was your guys' growth rate at the beginning? I remember you said you guys were growing like crazy. Do you know what your growth rate was in the beginning? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we grew from 0 to 1,000 clubs, 1,000 locations open, not sold, but I'm talking open doors. I went from 0 to 1,000 locations in 5 years.
Oh my!
That's the fastest any co-ed fitness center has ever grown. Co-ed.
Wow.
Now Curves grew at a fast rate, but the all-in for that product was $35,000. I mean, my all-in is $250,000 to $350,000. So it's amazing when you think about the pace of which we grew. But like I said, 1 year. I opened 377 stores in 1 year. That's amazing.
That is so impressive. My gosh.
That's opening one. And you know what's even more impressive? If you had walked in my global headquarters, which is right there in Chanhassen, Minnesota.
That's like right down the road from me, actually.
Yeah. If you had walked into my building, you would not see people running around with their hair on fire. You think about it, that we have a club opening every day. But the system that I laid out, my job was to make sure everybody stays in their lane, and everybody stays in their lane. And if everyone stays in their lane, it's just like a football team, or I equate a lot of stuff to sports. You know what? Don't worry about the quarterback's job. Worry about your job, right? Mm-hmm. So when a lot of times when I was having staff meetings or department head meetings, when somebody would pipe in on somebody else's division, I would let them talk for a little bit, but then I'd say, okay, wait a minute, that's not. You've got to worry about what you have going on in your department, right? Mm-hmm. And because he's got what he's doing, and it's my job to make sure that everybody is in their lane and they're doing their job, and making sure that they have all the necessary resources to do their job. Because to me, I can't not give them the resources and then complain that they're not getting the job done. So it's all about balance, and and that's why when you talk about why did you work so much, you think about it. It's like the quarterback on a football team. Rich Gannon's a friend of mine. And Rich used to tell me, he not only needs to know all the plays, he needs to know the job of every player, every offensive player on the team. Okay? So every position, he needs to know their job. So think about that. He not only needs to know his job, he needs to know the job of the whole the offensive line, all the backs, everyone. So that's a big job, man. When he puts it in that perspective. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work.
That seems like that was your job at Snap Fitness, right? You were like the quarterback. You had to know everybody's position and
everyone. Because how can you hold people accountable if you don't know exactly what it is you're supposed to do? Mm-hmm. So you do. You lean in and you understand it, and it's just like the operations manual of Snap Fitness. I wrote it. Wow. I wrote it, which is not only where the signs go in the location. I leave nothing to chance. The lighting configuration, the signage, the color palette, all of it. So, because if you don't give franchisees the direction that they need to go, you're going to get willy-nilly. You're going to get people that are putting signs wherever they want to. There's going to be no rhyme or reason, and you can't have consistency. There's a reason when you go into McDonald's, all the fries taste the same and the burgers taste the same, because they follow a process, and you need to trust the process.
100%. Something that I don't think most people know about you is you were actually a professional racquetball player.
I was, yeah. And you know what?
I'd be curious.
That's a great lesson in itself, because I picked up a racket for the first time when I was 13, and I remember when I was about 15, I was one of the better players in my little hometown. Okay,
where'd you grow up?
It was in Wilmer.
Oh,
Wilmer.
You grew up in Wilmer? Seriously?
Yeah.
Way out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Way out there. Yeah. So, and I was probably, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 players in the whole community, right? So I was thinking, and I'm a young kid, 15, and I'm pretty good at this game. I remember telling my mom, there was a junior national tournament in Minneapolis, and I remember telling my mother, I want to go play in this junior national tournament. I think I have a chance of winning in it. And I was basing that off of everyone I was playing in my town. I mean, there was nobody my age or even close to my age that I couldn't beat badly, right?
Yeah.
So I went to this tournament in Minneapolis. My first match, I got beat 21-1, 21-3. Okay.
I don't know racquetball, but that sounds bad.
I was mortified. I was embarrassed. But I tell you what, I saw racquetball played in a whole different level, in a whole new light, right?
Yeah.
So the punchline is, I went back to my hometown, and I played and I played and I played. I mean, it was so intense because now I visibly saw what I needed to be able to do. And within 2 years, I was a sponsored professional player.
Wow.
So that tells you how much I played and how man, I was. Being average was not going to work for me. So I was a touring pro by the largest racket manufacturer in the world. So it was not some little bush league sponsorship. It was a great sponsorship, and I got to travel around the country. And every time a new club would open up, we'd go in and we'd put on exhibition and clinics and things like that. So I loved it. You couldn't make any real money at it, but it was a lot of fun.
And that's actually crazy. The same as track and field. You can't make any money in track and field, really. But unless you're Usain Bolt. But
yeah, no, exactly.
I'm curious, like, well, one, how you got into the first place, like into racquetball, because I feel like that's a weird sport, especially in Wilmer. But also, the lessons you learned there and how that translated into Snap Fitness and your other businesses. Because I'm sure you to go pro in 2 years. That's an incredible feat. And so I'm sure like the processes that you developed helped in business, right?
Well, I tell you, there was a racquetball club that opened up in my hometown, and there was 5 business owners that owned that club. And my father was one of the 5 guys that owned the club. So I went in one day and played on a Sunday. Prior to that, I was playing football, baseball, basketball, typical traditional sports. And but when I went in and played that sport, it was a sport that I said, look, you know what? Immediately, I was much better than average. Immediately. So it's like some people, they can pick up a bowling ball for the first time and they somehow have a way of always throwing it down the middle. So with racquetball, it was the same thing for me. That the sport came natural for me. So that's how I got introduced to it. It was through my father, and that's how I eventually came back to turn around this failing club. I spent so many hours in the gym that I could see what the manager was doing. I could see that he was not engaged. That he was not engaged in the members. He was not engaged in the community. Mm-hmm. He would just come in and sit there all day. I knew that because I saw him, and so I told the 5 owners, "Hey, look, you guys, if you want this thing to change, you got to make a change because that result is not going to change itself. You got to get rid of him." Mm-hmm. You know. And I didn't say hire me. I just said, "Look, he's not your answer," because I was getting ready to move to Orlando, which I did. I moved to Orlando. I had breakfast with those guys. I told them that message. And I literally got in my car and drove to Orlando, Florida to play the Sun Belt Tour. And I did tell those guys before I left, if you guys ever want to turn this club around, give me a call. And I didn't think they'd ever call me. A year and a half later, they called me.
Wow. And so when you moved to Orlando, is that when you started with the other company down there, or took over that the wellness company down there?
So when I moved down to Orlando, and all I did was play racquetball. Okay. Yeah. All I did was work out and play racquetball and play tournaments every weekend. Wow. Okay. So I did that, and then I had this opportunity to go back to Minnesota. So I went back to Minnesota and tried to turn around that failing club, and that was the window of opportunity that I needed. All I needed was that window of opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that the 5 owners at the time, I don't think they thought I had a chance in hell of turning that business around. Yeah. I think that they looked at it and they probably thought it was a Hail Mary, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is, you know, they paid me $16,000 a year, but they never put a ceiling on how much equity I could acquire if I was able to turn it around. And it wasn't losing money a little bit every year. It was losing $200,000 a year. Yeah. So every year, these 5 owners had to kick in, you know, $40,000, $50,000 each a year.
Well, actually, I actually kind of disagree with you on the one point that that it was a Hail Mary. I think that like for you to go and say to them like, hey, this guy sucks. Like to have the courage at such a young age to go and say, hey, this guy sucks, and you guys aren't going to have a successful business at such a young age. I think that probably said something to them like, hey, this guy actually is very aware about the business sense. Like, I don't know. I like at least for me, like if I had a gym and I had some young person come in and say to me like, this is what you need to do to be successful, I would listen and I would think that, hey, like maybe he actually, you know what I mean? Because you're there every day.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but here's one of the biggest character building moments that I experienced in that club was the second day that I went to work. The first day that I went there, I walked through the club, and it was very apparent to me that the club needed a deep cleaning. It was a pig pen. So I told the entire staff, I had an all-staff meeting, I said, everybody come tomorrow in cleaning clothes. We're going to deep clean this club from front to back, right? So I show up the next day, and everybody's there. And before I get started, this woman steps forward, and she says, Peter, before we get going here, I'd like to say something. And I said, well, please, go ahead. And she says, we weren't hired to clean. And I said, all right. So that to me, that was a moment of truth. So I could have gone one of two ways. I could have said, you know what, you're right. That's not what you were hired for. And those of you who want to stay and help me clean, I appreciate it. Those of you who don't want to clean, that's fine. You can leave. Okay, that would have been one path. Or the other path, which I chose, is I said to her, looked her in the eye, and I said, look, and you also don't have a job. And I pointed to the door. Now, believe me, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. Because now, you keep in mind, I'm 22 years old. I'm probably the youngest employee of the company that I now run. Okay? So it was a holy shit moment for everybody, because it was like, this guy's not playing, right? Mm-hmm. Now, she ended up staying, and the four people behind her ended up staying. But the message was, look, we're not going to be average anymore. So today is the last day of being average. We are going to clean this club, and we're going to focus on the members, and we're going to be accountable to the members, and I'm do what I can here to try to give this club some sort of a facelift. And I went back to the owners and I said, look, do we have any kind of a club improvement or marketing budget? They go, no, we don't have anything. So I got creative. I went to the community. I started bartering. I remember I went to a carpet store and I said, look, I need carpet. I don't have money, but I have memberships. So if you give me carpet, I'll give you memberships for all of your employees and their families. And to my surprise, he said, okay. So I started renovating my club, and I was very smart about how I did it. I started in the front lobby of the club, because if I just took the carpet and sprinkled it in little areas around the club, it wouldn't be noticeable. But when people started walking in the front door and they saw fresh carpet and that fresh glue smell, and that carpet glue smell, and they saw that I hired painters and electricians and plumbers and carpet. Nothing was off the table, and everything I bartered, everything I could. Wow. Well, believe me, the community started to rally behind me, and within 5 years, I took that business from losing $200,000 to making $250,000. So, just that quick, it started turning, because I was in the local parades. I would go to the Chamber of Commerce, get a list of every business in the community. I would go to those businesses and offer them free passes to come and try my club. Because I knew this, if they didn't walk through my front door, I didn't have an opportunity to sell. Yeah. And so the key was get people in my door. Once I get them in the door, then I can try to sell them. But if I can't get them in the door, I can't sell. And it worked out.
Well, it showed you cared too, right? Like doing all that stuff, you showed you actually cared about your members and your people.
Yeah, they did. And you know what? I had about 1,250 members in my club, and I knew most of them. I probably knew 70% of them on a first name basis.
Wow, that is so.
Because I made a point to. I would be during the peak hours. I would be behind the front desk. Mm-hmm. So because I wanted the members to see me. I would be giving them a towel and a locker key. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I would give them a towel, locker key, and say, "Hey, have a great workout." Right? Have a great workout. And when they would come back to give me that towel back, I'd say, "Hey, thanks for coming in. Hope to see you tomorrow." just that interaction with the members, it's everything. And that same customer appreciation, it's relevant today. And that will never leave. People want to be noticed and they want to be appreciated.
100%. Could you excuse me for like 30 seconds? I really have to run to the bathroom. I had too much green tea this morning. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to fill mine up.
Okay, cool. Just a second.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I have this.
No worries at all.
I have this big thing of green tea. I have it every morning, and must have had too much. So
No,
sorry.
it's a good way to start.
Pardon?
I start my day with a lot of things. I drink lemon water with cayenne pepper. So I start with that for the first hour.
Interesting.
All right? And then because that'll start your
Why?
metabolism. That cayenne, yeah.
The cayenne pepper does?
Lemon, ginger. Yeah, just take water. So you take that little cup that you have right there. Just take that with lemon and ginger and then cayenne pepper. Have your first glass be that.
Interesting.
Right, and do that for the first hour.
Yeah.
And then from there, like now I'll start with some juices. So I have
homemade
some,
juices.
So I don't eat any hard food until after 12 o'clock probably.
Why is that? Just like to get. I'm curious.
Here's what I found. I found that when I give my body the necessary nutrients. So like this juice here, this is a company. It's called Spartan Detox. Okay. So Spartan Detox, they called me and they said, "Look, we'd like you to endorse our product." I said, "I can't endorse it if I don't know it." So if you want to give me some product, they're based out of Miami here.
Okay.
And I said, "You want to give me some product? I'll give it a go." Well, hell, I did a 3-day detox with them. It's a 3-day juice detox. And it felt amazing. I'd never done detox in my life. And so I tried theirs and just felt amazing when I was done, right, with it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that, like literally once a month, I'm going to do a 1-day detox. Because in the 1 day, literally, I lost about 6 pounds of, probably water and waste, etc.
Wow.
So but I do a full 3-day detox once every three months or so. But I start my day with just good fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
What kind of what is that, like carrot juice or is it just like vegetables or
This one?
Yeah.
It's a mix. It's a blend of things. As I'm tasting it, and every day, I'll have like six different juices throughout the day.
Yeah.
But this, I can taste. There's definitely carrots in there. There's probably beets in there, and I can taste some celery, and I can taste something sweet. If it's it's kind of like orange juice, something. There's something sweet in it. It's good. It's very tasty. Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. So where were we chatting about? We were chatting about the facility. Oh yeah. We did the memberships,
You
right?
got me for another 5 minutes. You asked me anything.
Okay.
You got me 11.
You got to bounce at 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can push it a little bit if I need to, but
okay, no worries. You can have whenever. I just appreciate you taking the time to chat. This is super fun. I've actually learned a lot, so I appreciate you. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'd be curious to chat about your. So maybe let's chat a little bit more about Snap Fitness. Then I'd be curious to hear about what you're doing now, like and stuff with your music festivals and whatnot. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what I'm doing now is, so I stepped down as a CEO a year ago from Lyft Brands, a year ago January. So I'm no longer involved in the day-to-day operations of the company at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I do that because I still own 44% of that company, and the private equity company that has it today, they will probably sell the company in 2 to 3 years, is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that we've got a good successor in there, because if I told them I'm not going to be, I've already sold the company twice. I've sold bits and pieces along the way, which is the right thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, now I only do things that I truly enjoy. So like the Twin Cities Summer Jam, that's my music festival at Canterbury Park
with Tim McGraw, right?
Yeah, Tim McGraw, Pitbull. So this year I had to cancel it, but I brought my boy Pitbull back. He's a great guy, a friend of mine here in Miami. But I had him coming in headlining Thursday. I had Zach Brown Friday and Carrie Underwood Saturday.
Wow!
But I had to pull a shoot on it about a week and a half ago, just because it was the right thing to do. You know what? Nobody knows where this coronavirus is going to end, and even though I think that the quarantine will be over by then, I don't think human behavior, that you're going to see people gathering in big groups like they were before. I personally think, the media's got everybody so hyped up on this. I'll bet when we're Christmas shopping this Christmas, I think you're still going to see people wearing masks and gloves.
Yeah.
That's how crazy some people are. You know what I mean? It's not Armageddon. Everybody needs to calm down and just kind of get a grip on it. And the reality of it is, if everybody just stops and looks at the analytics, they're going to realize that the percentage of people that actually die from this, it's like less than 2%. And of those people that die, they've had complications. They've been outliers a little bit. They've had some complication with it. So my daughter had it. And her symptoms were. The symptoms are all over the board too. So some people, it doesn't affect their respiratory system at all. She had a sore throat. She had a headache for about 4 days. Sore throat she had for about 6 days. She had some achy joints for about 4 or 5 days. But she lost her taste buds for about 10 days.
Wow.
Okay. Now she's 100%. She's back fully normal, right? And but she felt before, if nobody had been talking about C-19. She just would have hung out at home and laid in bed for a couple of days. You know what I mean? Because she felt like shit. But it wasn't something she'd go to the hospital for.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the music festival, I do that. I own a luxury camp in Africa, the Serengeti.
That is super interesting.
I love that.
How'd you get involved with that?
It's a long story, but it started with the Ronald McDonald House, making a donation to the Ronald McDonald House years and years ago, and then to providing them a loan. One of the people that was involved in the Ronald McDonald House approached me about being a partner in this deal. There was 5 of us, and then about 3 years into it, they needed a significant loan, 7-figure loan, and so I said, "Look, guys, you know what? I'm not your guy," because they. The first loan was the first investment was $200,000. I did it because my friend asked me. I didn't do a lot of due diligence. I trusted my friend, and it was not a lot of money. $200,000, not the end of the world. But when you come back and you want a $1 million+ loan, now you're getting serious, right? So I said, look, I don't have any problem separating church and state. So when you're talking about that kind of money. Now that it's going to be documented, and if you default, I'm going to own the camp. So, and I don't want to own the camp. I don't want it. So
you didn't want to own it to begin with?
Be careful what you're asking for here, because I'm willing to do it. And the same guy that approached me on the investment, I said, look, you put in half, I'll put in half. So I wasn't going to do it alone because it really wasn't my thing. Well, here we sit today. He and I own it 50-50. And we love it, We love the camp. It's been a hell of a lot of road rash and work. But if C-19 had not hit this year, we would have made good money this year. But C-19 completely decimated our business. It's 80% of our bookings have canceled. So, people aren't hopping on planes to go to Africa.
Yeah. Well, there's no flights there now because because of all the travel restrictions and whatnot.
Yeah. So we just got to hunker down. We've laid off about 85% of our employees. We've laid them off, and because we have no guests, we're just maintaining our lodge and just make sure nobody comes onto our property and vandalizes it, because you're right. You're in the Serengeti, for crying out loud.
So you're actually
It's the wild.
Is it like a safari park, or is it like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
My camp is right. It's a what they call a temporary camp, but you would never know it. I'm right outside the Serengeti, because you can't have. I'm right outside the Serengeti. You'd never know it's a mobile camp, because it's hardwood floors, it's generators, electricity, lights, bathtub, showers. You would not know. You would not know the difference, right?
Yeah.
Permanent sidewalks leading to the tents. So it's beautiful. It's a 5-star lodge.
Dang.
So it's beautiful.
That's crazy. How often do you get out there? Do you get out there quite a bit, or not really?
Well, once a year.
Oh, once a year. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, once a year, and it's amazing. And you'll get up some mornings. There'll be elephants drinking out of our swim. We have a swimming pool too as well. There'll be elephants drinking in the pool. We've had lions drinking out of the swimming pool.
No way. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience.
Wow.
It really is.
Dang,
I dabble around in some real estate as well. So I'm in the music business. I love that. I love the safari. I love Tasa Lodge. I love it. I own a lot of real estate. I do that. My latest project, though, is I'm getting ready to launch a CBD oil company called Elevair Wellness Products.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, we're just getting ready, doing the final touches on that. Yeah, but
Okay.
ELEVARE, ElevairLabs.com.
Okay.
Anyway, but we'll start going live with this, start promoting, selling product here in probably the next 2 weeks.
So how'd you get involved with that, like the CBD stuff? Are you very much in the cannabis industry?
Yeah,
or?
I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it, and I've been a fan of it for a while. And I think CBD oil is the Tylenol of the future.
Seriously?
For real. Yeah, for real. I love it. I mean, if you've got any problem sleeping at night, it's great for that. Joint stiffness. I use a face cream that is great. But the woman that is my essentially biologist or botanist, she's won the Jack Hare Award 2 years in a row, which is the products that she makes is tested against 20,000 other products in the space. And it's an award that's given to what's deemed to be the best products in the market, and she has it. I mean, she gets it, and which is why when I tried her product after trying other products, hers is it's all about what the product is suspended in and how quickly it's absorbed. I mean, our product has over a 90% absorption rate, where a lot of the others are sub 20%. But so I love the product, and the product works, so I'm an advocate for it.
Huh. That is super cool.
But it's all e-tail though. It's no brick and mortar.
I'm just checking it out now. I really like on the website here. How you guys have all the different statistics and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah, we're still they're literally going through scrubbing at typos. We haven't promoted it at all.
Dang. Well, I wish you the best of luck on that. I hope the launch goes super well.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna when I launch it, I'll be launching it through a lot of my social media influencer friends.
Okay.
So
sweet.
Yeah, so that's, like I said, it's all e-tail, so you'll see a lot of swipe up and order.
Well, I have a couple friends. Maybe they're probably not nearly as big as your friends on social media, but I don't know. Maybe I can help you promote that.
It's all good. And the good part too is people can become an affiliate. So they become an affiliate. So if you're an influencer,
mm-hmm.
that you can become an affiliate, and then we give you the links to some different promotional things,
mm-hmm.
where you can create an Instagram ad. And if someone swipes up and they order a product, you get 10% commission on everything they order.
Oh, wow.
10%.
Huh.
And it's for the life of that customer. So even like yourself, you could become an affiliate. I don't care if you have 1,000 followers. You could become an affiliate, and you could run an ad, right? And if any of your followers swipe up and order product, you get a 10% commission. and our price point on our product is right there with everyone else's. But being I'm only e-tail, there's enough margin there for me where I could say, look, I'm fine leveraging my influencers and friends and whatnot to become affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the life of it's for the life of the customer too, which is great. If the customer orders something, you get 10% commission. If they come back 3 months later and order again, you get commission on that too, for 1 year.
Huh. So
cool.
What's your vision for it then? Like, do you see this being like a global CBD brand or replacing Tylenol, or are you still trying to figure it out?
And look, I don't know. It's set up to be. My shipping. I can ship into 220 countries, so I've leveraged a lot of my stuff from just business. The payment processing side of it, the shipping and fulfillment side of it. The product manufacturing, the design of the packaging, all of it, the logo design, all of it. So. I'm excited for it.
I'm super excited for you, man. Well, I also want to be super respectful of your time. I know you probably need to bounce here. But I really do appreciate you taking the time to chat. I actually have more questions now than when I started this. So I wish, hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Well, you know what? I'm back in Minnesota here probably. I just put on my to-do list today. I got to figure out what day I want to come back, but it's probably going to be around the 15th of the month of May.
Of May,
of May, and then I'll be there through the summer. Okay. I'll come back to Miami like the end of September.
Okay.
So
well,
you're a Minnesota guy.
Yeah. So if the gyms open up by the time that you're back here, I would love for you to come work out with us and our product at one of the different gyms locally. If you'd be down for it.
So, yeah, I do. I go to. So I used to go. I'm a member of Barry's Boot Camp here in Miami.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's Barry's in Minneapolis, but
they're opening
there's
one
Orange
soon.
Theory.
They're opening one soon in a couple weeks. Or actually, they were supposed to. I don't know what's going on now, but
yeah. What location?
I think
what suburb?
It was in North Loop, kind of right by. I think it's by Alter. I don't know if you know Alter.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, I'll go to that because I'm a big Barry's fan. That's a kick-ass workout.
Unbelievable. We don't actually work with them on our application yet, but yeah. So, I would love to go work out with you. So.
Yeah, right on. Well, hey, best of luck with everything. You know how to find me if you have questions on anything. I'm happy to help you out.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna end the podcast now, but if you want to stick around, I'd love to say thank you afterwards. So.
Yeah, of course.
I'm ending it now. Perfect.